Hey everybody, it's Greg Rice. We're here in Providence,
Rhode Island,
and we're at the infamous Dusk
Lounge. Thank you, Rick, for having us yet again at our
second rendezvous.
We're at episode
77, 78.
Okay, wow. That was episode 12 for you.
That was when I just started doing the spotlight, right?
Right.
It was COVID, it was nothing to do. People were floundering, businesses were nervous, and I said, how could I add value to the world and not charge people and help me, help them, help everybody? And that's what I did. So my goal is 1,000 episodes.
Oh, wow.
1,000, and we are not even 10% there.
That's why you gotta reuse these people every now and then.
So we're bringing on.
I sincerely appreciate you having.
We are bringing on.
So much. Yep.
We're bringing on Donald for episode 2, and Don is. We're gonna cue up the photo right now of Don in the coffin. Okay, Don has been reborn, and is now the proud owner, solo practitioner of Brokerage.
Brokerage, yes.
But before we get into that, let's talk about Dusk. The music scene in Providence is essentially dead. In Rhode Island, you could say it's
right.
Essentially dead. You have to go to New Bedford, you have to go to Connecticut, you got to go to Boston. What did Dusk do for you when you were in the music scene, and how do you look at it to this day?
I mean, deep appreciation for Rick and this establishment. I would say probably in the mid 2000s, probably 2012, 13 is when we really started playing here. I was a singer-songwriter. I had like a small catalog of songs, and there was a very, between Broadway, you had AS220, you had the Met. Dusk was the outline. We're on the city limits outside over here, and it took a long time for them to establish themselves, and they found a groove, and they're still relevant today. Dusk is very, and we were talking about this earlier, I think that they've maintained an identity, they've maintained integrity. The drinks are good, the staff is always very hospitable, and it's just that they maintained a scene. And for Providence in general, I found for a late 30-something, 40-something male now, I can tell you that there's not many places to go to take a girl, to dance, to go out, and to have a night out as far as a music scene. And we come here, I still come here for the Goth Nights. I love it's got some kind of personality. It has a scene. It hasn't lost that. So that's why we're here at Dusk. That's why we continue to support Rick, who supported me getting these songs, getting my music out there, and premiering them on this very stage. To this, I mean, this venue seats about 50 people, 75 people. So you can get plus the outside. You can get some heads in here. Yeah.
What standing on this stage memory comes back to mind specifically?
For me?
Yep, right here.
Right here on this stage. I hope they like me. I hope they like what I come out with. I hope that they don't mind that this is me. This was a turning point for me in my mid-20s to late 20s, discovering an identity and still finding out and still caring about how it was perceived. So I would say this is the end. For me, it was the beginning of something, and it was also the end of my innocence, so to speak, because when you take your shirt off and you're holding a guitar and you're screaming your heart out, and everything that you've had inside of you over the last 2 years that you've decided to put to words, to music, and then teach a bunch of guys how to do it, and then show it to people, very, very raw kind of thing. You allow yourself to be the subject of ridicule, of judgment. You don't know how it's gonna be perceived, and I think that it's It was definitely it was, you're asking me what a specific memory. I would say that the nerves. I can recall being having a lot of anxiety before a show. I'd drink a whole hell of a lot more. I'd rack up the bar tabs. I try to like deal with that in a way, but as I went on, it got a lot easier. Mm-hmm. But it took me to get uncomfortable. That's what the shirt off is about. That's what the long hair is about. It's like discovering and ripping apart who you are and exposing it. So I think that, those lessons I learned were on this very stage. Does that make sense? That's a long answer to a
Very
short question.
Short question. My next question would be, what's wrong with considering how other people feel versus your ideology now of they can handle or deal with the weight of what I am and deal with it? What's the two schools of thought?
It's very easy to get caught up in that and losing sight of the work it takes to get out of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a paralyzing experience if you don't know how to put in the legwork. And what do I mean by legwork? I mean doing that very thing. Because most people, they might stay in their basement and perform stuff on YouTube. And yeah, they didn't get enough likes, but you don't really have to deal with that direct rejection of somebody just standing there in the middle of the crowd, not feeling your groove, not really.
Or turning their back.
They're turning their back.
Waiters.
They got no attention spans whatsoever. That's something that hits a little different.
Right.
The downside of that, it just sets you back. I mean, I've considered myself a late bloomer. We could talk about the brokerage. We could talk about being in this business for 10 years and taking 10 years and 4 years as a broker, but taking 10 years ultimately to come to some things that people just realize right off the bat, oh, this isn't for me, I'm gonna open my own brokerage, and maybe they're 4 years into it.
Gotcha.
So a lot of growth has occurred over the last 3 or 4 years, I would say, and that's my position on that. I think caring about people, it's paralyzing. What the opinions are, it's paralyzing, for sure.
Interesting.
Right.
Because most people are quite the opposite. They want to care about how am I impacting their feelings? How am I affecting their
Sure.
behavior? Will they like me? Will they accept me?
Yeah.
Will they let me work for them? When really you should be, I think, 80-20 to 90-10. You can't be 100-0. Deal with me. Take me. You have to have the door cracked a little bit so that they can understand that you have empathy, which is a very important characteristic as a man, as a person. But you can't be wide open in the sense of you're pleasing everybody. And then we'll go back to the video from when we did Don 2 years ago. You think you could be everyone to everybody? No, you don't. Or no, you don't.
Right. I gotta be everything to everybody at all times. No, you don't.
Forget about it.
You don't. Right.
That's it.
That took, to that point though, that took a lot. What you saw there in 2020 in this first interview was years of putting in the work, getting the rejection, getting all of that stuff. But even if, as our relationship grew as a friendship, if I was all 100% Don Martone all the time, I wouldn't have allowed myself to open up to some of your worldviews that I would say that it's a give and take on a brotherhood aspect. You gotta know when you're wrong. You gotta be receptive to people's opinions. But I guess it's more about you take it. And you take that pause silently and you make a decision. Is this for me or do they have a valid point? Is there some semblance of something there that I can use and learn from? If not, you got to be, okay, no, bro, I don't agree with you on that point. You know, so a lot of growth happens when you leave the door open to
Some
not a lot.
selected. I select who I let in my door.
Sure.
Secondly, I want to talk as little about the brokerage as possible.
Sure.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And the viewers don't give a shit.
Sure. They want
They want to know who is behind it, what has created Bond.
Right.
What is Bond? We don't need to talk about Bond. We need to talk about you.
Right.
So we also need to talk about Plan D.
Oh, you want to bring up, yeah.
Plan
Talk
D,
about that.
it's very important to talk about Plan D, which is at this point, it's a side project. It's not generating revenue. It's
Sure.
not selling out arenas yet. It is not doing any of those things, but I believe is Don 2.0 in
Sure.
trying to help 1 million men. So why don't you riff on Plan D?
Riff on Plan D. I will say Plan D, it's funny. I was with a client driving into downtown Providence. We were leaving a property. Actually, we grabbed coffee and we went to go see a property that he had. Through the conversation we had, he said, yeah, I'm going to be listing it. And I said, let's check it out. It's right down the road. We ended up checking it out. So we're in his truck and he said, so tell me about Plan D. And I started to riff on it and give it like a backstory. And later on that night, in my quiet moment of reflection on what did I do today? Did I make a difference? Did something happen that was relevant? Can I justify me breathing and taking up oxygen today? When I was reflecting on that moment, and I had a guy genuinely come to me because of the curiosity about what it was, I diminished that moment by trying to explain my side of the story. Plan D is not about me. It's about you.
Very well.
And there's so many different elements that it covers, but it really only covers one thing, and that's you. Are you living your best self? And if you're not living your best self, allow me to tell you where you're fucking up. Because at the end, I think that's what this movement, the masculinity movement that's happening right now on YouTube before your very eyes, they call it red pill. Red pill is related to the Matrix movies. You take the red pill, you wake up, your head's shaved, you're a battery for this robotic race that basically generates, you're in a simulation of the Matrix. That's essentially what red pill is designed for. And I guess you could say 3 years ago, I had a red pill moment.
Which was, please.
I went through a very
Details.
I had the rug pulled out from under me. I had a red pill moment
Okay.
that it forced me. It didn't allow me. It forced me to face who I was as a man.
If you're going to critique us, how are we going to know? We got to know you went through something. What did you go
Is
through?
the camera still rolling?
The camera is
camera's
rolling
still on.
down the tracks.
It was very, obviously it was very simple, very simple. I was deeply involved in a relationship, my friend. I was deeply involved in a relationship and I had no idea where that relationship was at that moment because I was so focused on the one, how I was feeling. Oh, I love so much. Oh, this is so good. Oh, isn't she pretty? All of that we all go through.
Yep.
Some guys get out of it. Some guys stay in it. I've seen 60-year-old, 70-year-old guys still blue pill, still
Happy life, happy wife.
still not. They're wondering why their sex life is terrible. They're wondering why they can't really go up to that girl at the grocery store that they find attractive. And this isn't even about women. This is about you as a man. so to answer your question, I was so focused on my feelings that I didn't stop and assess and analyze where my life and my situation was at. And when the feelings aren't reciprocated on the other side, and you have no idea how to handle that particular moment when the rug pulls out or the hammer drops or whatever situation you want to talk about, when you don't know how to handle that, you could actually disintegrate that relationship on the other side forever. You could totally turn off and repulse the other side. And what if I told you that I can tell you how to handle that situation based upon not only my understanding, but practice. I am a practitioner. I am a scientist in this area. And I'm disciplined to the point of obsession about personal performance, optimal performance. I'm a high performance coach. You tell me what you want, I'm going to tell you how to execute it. And that's where Red Pill and this manosphere environment on YouTube, it's a bunch of guys bitching and moaning online and not accepting accountability for themselves. And nobody's willing to take leadership, because when you call yourself the leader, you're going to become a target. You're going to be that person who gets rejected. You're going to be that. You're the person on stage now that has to answer to the crowd. And you better want to have an understanding about what that situation is. So I'm at a point in my life when the suicide rate for men, white males, 30s, 40s, is the highest it's ever been. And that's pretty specific. What is the data we shared about the 1/3 of?
Oh, I heard it today on the PBD, Peter Bet David podcast. He said 1/3 of males of all species are having no sex for 1 year or more.
Sure. And that's just the people that had the balls to admit
and answer the survey.
Answer the survey. Because that would tell me that you're
maybe it's half.
Either having so much sex in your life you don't got time to fill out a survey because you're too busy in bed having sex. But and it's not about this ain't about just sex. This is about taking back our God-given gift of leadership, of strength, of courage, of discipline, of certainty, of focus. Like all of these traits that allow us to be our best self and, coincidentally enough, attract the opposite sex when you are optimally in that zone. This is scientific. This is spiritual. This is practice. It's all of these things in one. So, but at the end of the day, what is plan D? You come to me, I'm going to tell you. That's the end of it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to own it. I'm going to be the centerpiece. I'll take all the hits because I know what my mission is. I know what I'm meant here to do. What I experienced for the last 40 years of my life.
39. Easy.
I can commit to focused effort in this area because I believe that I can help this population of men that are struggling in this area, because I also struggled for many, many years, and I can tell you how to get out of it. So, but it's not going to be pretty. You're not going to like the answers. And men grow through challenge. They don't grow through praise.
Say that again.
Men grow through challenge. They do not grow through praise.
So what do you say, though, to the married man, couple kids, working a desk job, wears the khakis, got the button up, he's got to appease his boss, got to appease, vendors, got to appease the wife, he's a coach, he's part of the church in town, he volunteers. He's got all these masters that he must appease, and all of those people already have his identity calculated. When they see said man, they say, oh, that's Jim. In their mind, they already have the preconceived notion of who Jim is. How do you tell Jim how to kind of unravel all of these perceptions about him and create a new image of the one that Jim truly desires and not the one that he's got to play into for everybody else? How do you tackle that?
Well, I would say for a man in particular, if you look at most of the areas where he's going to be lacking, it's going to be in his fitness. It's going to be in his health.
Let's see the guns. Because can you take advice from somebody who doesn't do it? No. Donald does it.
We do it.
And look at that. Look at that.
We do it. Yeah, we do it.
Continue.
So we're going to tackle, and that was a great segue. I really appreciate that. Because it is true. Consider the source of the person trying to help you. I mean, I see far too many personal trainers in the gym. They look completely out of shape, and here they are collecting somebody's hard-earned money
And trust.
And I think that's robbery. But you'd first take a look at. I mean, if we first got to understand where he's lacking, because again, if I'm being honest with you, like I said, I'm a high-performance coach. If he's gonna come to me and say, "Hey, I'm lacking in this area," I'm gonna focus on that area. Do you understand what I'm saying?
100%.
Like it sounds like from your example that you've given, it sounds like he's got a whole lot of masters, like you say, and there's nothing wrong with that, having
Right.
that much level of responsibility. If he can
Right.
hold that all together and run a household, the problem is he's not running his household. Somebody else is. So finding different ways that we're gonna first identify the problem, the real problem, and address that. You got to focus in, because a lot of things that you've just discussed, it starts with a consultation. I mean, the program that I got right now is you can do by the month. And there's different packages up to like 6 months, 12 months, and the rate gets a little better, but that involves a weekly 60-minute coaching call, either via Zoom or we can meet in person. I like the in-person approach,
Yeah.
especially at a local level, but
Yeah.
obviously as this thing grows, we want to be able to scale it in different ways. Focusing in on, first of all, where he's lacking, and I can tell you from why he would be reaching out to me in the first place, is that he's lacking in the sex department, he's lacking in the confidence department, he's lacking in allowing himself a good circle of friends to lean on. Yeah, you gotta. That's the first step, is to get that consultation and identify where he's at.
Good point about the friends. I want to make a point about the friends. I grew up in a suburban town called Naugatuck, Connecticut. We'll put it up on the screen. And Naugatuck was the home of Uniroyal. That is where the rubber tire was created.
Right.
And vulcanized, they call it vulcanized. Charles Goodyear did that back in 1812, very early on. So that was a mill town that I grew up in, where everybody was blue collar, and we're all kind of similar status and stature. So what happens in those types of towns is you have big groups of friends, because you all have similar agreements, you have similar upbringings, similar parents, they work at the same jobs. So as you grow older, and as I'm in high school and college, I have a group of 15, 20, 25 extended friends that we all will gather and party, go to games, go to dances, whatever. What I quickly came to realize, Donald, was that the more friends you have, the less risk that you're willing to take for fear of criticism, abandonment, laughter, rejection, all of these things. So the bigger your friend groups are, and the more time that you've known them, say you know them since elementary school, the more boxed in you are to just watch the football, just drink the beers, just go to the strip club, just do all the stuff that they're doing so that you're not breaking the mold. So what I've realized, and recently, is I still hang with those guys, but very sparsely.
And there's nothing wrong with those guys.
Nothing wrong with those guys. But in order for me to excel to where I'm going,
breakout levels.
I gotta break out. And now I have maybe 3 to 5 close orbital friends that are all kind of different.
Sure.
We don't all hang together.
Right.
That's one thing I don't like is groupthink.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It's scary.
Right.
So you need to be able to isolate yourself, spend time one-on-one.
Groupthink, group chat, dangerous stuff.
How many of those have we ended?
Yeah, right. We've ended quite a few, yeah.
So my point here is that you need to find somebody that you really align with that's going to push you.
I would disagree with the find. Good relationships are built. They're not born. No, but
You need to synchronize with somebody
on a level.
On a level. You don't need to go look and there's my friend here. Not the word
desperation.
Find. No. You need to attract.
Yes.
Okay, would be a better word.
Jesus, man, that guy's running a business. He's here at 5:30 in the morning, killing it at the gym. Right. Some guys I'll go up to, especially in a gym setting. If you're not in a gym scene, you better get in the fucking gym scene. Because some of these people, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and here I am doing emails on a bench, but I'm also in between a set. I often will go up to people and say, hey man, I'm just curious, what do you do? Because I can tell you what I'm doing. I'm working here. What do you do? Because I'm interested. That's a bonding moment. People sharing like interests. It's a relationship of people with like interests. That's the bond. That's something you build.
It starts with nutrition. It starts with friends. It starts with exercise, right? We could say those 3 things are your most important. What else should boys shed to become men? That they think are manly activities, that they think are attracting the opposite sex. What?
Shed doubt. Shed the doubt.
Of?
Shed doubt in yourself. Shed the doubt that it's not going to work out. Paralyzing. There's a dangerous ground that's happening again in this movement that I am ushering myself into. Nobody asked me to do this thing. Nobody asked me to create this forum of guys where we all get together. We do live seminars. We have like-minded interests. We want to be better. We also want to be around guys that are doing a little bit better, or maybe they're doing a little bit worse, and they can see our situation and then say, oh, and that'll make me feel good. That'll make them feel good. That'll make everybody feel good. Like I'm ushering myself into this. What's happening in this movement is too much data, too much inactivity, not enough application. So remove the doubt that this is right. Is Don, I want to cross-reference what Don's saying here. Shut the fuck up, listen to what I'm saying, give it a try. This is plan D. You tried A, B, C, here we go with D. So, do you understand what I'm saying?
100%.
So, I'm going to take that leadership role. If you got judgments about it or reservations, fine. I encourage you give it a try, because I can tell you that it works.
It does. I've tried it.
He's tried it.
I am actively
satisfied customer. Still in process.
I'm actually not even paying right now.
Right.
I can tell you that the applications work when executed properly, and it's not 100% guarantee. Nothing is, but I have to say, 9 out of 10 or greater. It's correct.
It's going to get you a predictable result if you're consistent with it.
Or maybe you try it once and it doesn't work, but the next time you're like, oh no, this is how it is.
Okay, now that's going to expose another point: lack of discipline, lack of consistency, lack of commitment. Do it. Stick with it. I mean, you're saying no guarantees. I'm saying I can guarantee results in 60 days.
I'm saying no.
So, you know what I'm saying?
I'm saying no guarantees in a sense of oh, I took his class, I tried it once, and this happened. The girl said,
No, there's no guarantees on that.
I'm saying,
you got to give me time, man.
correct. If you give him 60 days, if you give him 30 days,
You give me 30 days. Come
even
on.
30 minutes, I mean, it's so practical. It's not offensive. It's
Sure.
not obligatory. It's not pay to play. It's not any of those things. You're just delivering yourself as a desirable person
Sure.
that will attract what you want, what you're looking for.
Look at the relationships that have grown out of just my simple suggestions to you. Call them prescriptions. But Greg, your background, very different. But we're all in the same world together. And we didn't make these rules. That's why they call it game. It's because there are rules to it. And if you understand the rules and you understand the mechanism that it takes to better your chances, like I wouldn't walk onto a basketball court with a golf club expecting to parlay and then hit it into a hockey net. I just said 3 different sports. When you sign up for basketball, there's certain rules in play that have to be played, that have to be understood. Does that make sense?
100%. And I have a nice metaphor.
Please.
So, in the world of phones and technology, we are all attending the game. Okay, imagine you go to a basketball game.
Sure.
There's 10,000 seats in the crowd. All the men of 2023 are sitting in the crowd amongst the other men on their phone saying to the opposite sex, hey, are you at the game? Hey, I'm here at the game. Hey, you want to meet up? Hey, you want to grab a drink? And the 9,999 other guys are also doing the same exact thing.
No.
So what Don is going to teach you is to get on the court,
Get in the arena.
shoot the basketball. Maybe you miss, but maybe you make it. And you know what? Like he said before, all eyes will be on you as you are on this court, and they're going to be saying, wow, I wish I could do that. I wish I could be on that court shooting that three-pointer right now. But instead, I'm here. I got my phone in my hand. I got another 150 calorie Miller Lite, and I'm just hoping and praying. Not a sustainable method, and you need to get out on the field. Get out on the field because it is a vicious game too.
Sure. And honestly, if we're being really honest, that's what life is all about.
Yep.
You're going to get so much more gratification about you're no longer just existing. You're actually getting out onto the field and taking that shot. You're getting out into the world and taking your shot, and you're understanding that there's, with respect to women, is about 1 billion of them to choose from. And you have to understand that you're going to take that shot and you're going to miss sometimes. But if you are committed, if you're disciplined, if you're receptive, and you can listen, we're going to reduce the likelihood that you're going to miss the shot. And we don't just mean with this, with game or pickup, because that's a whole nother conversation. But we're talking about peak performance. We're talking about optimal performance of the man himself, so that he's an attractor. He's the constructionist. He's the architect of his temple that people will come to because they're in awe of it. He's not going out
Building little huts everywhere.
little huts everywhere. So,
How do they get in touch with you?
reach out to me directly, 401-954-0270. That's my direct line, 24/7. This is a boots on the ground, grassroots approach.
See the boots.
And that's how you can get involved. That's also my line for
Oh yeah, bond brokers. I forgot about that.
real estate operations.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions, also put them in the comments field below. and Don will get right back to you, or I will defer you to Don, however it may be. Please reach out and just ask one question.
Yeah, put it in the comments section, by the way.
Yeah, right below.
Right below. I want your comments.
That's right. And again, Greg Rice here at Dusk Lounge. Again, thank you to Rick Sutherland.
Yes.
Sutherland, not Northern, Easterland,
No.
Westerland, Sutherland. For hosting us here for the second time in a couple of years. Thank you, Rick. And again, Don Martone from Bond Brokerage and Plan D.